I was wrong. Hello again, everyone. Eli's dad here with Project Eli, where we educate, lead, and inspire. And today we're going to have a serious conversation. I'm going to speak to you from the heart and not from the keister. And it's, we're in very difficult times. A lot of things are happening. And I want to talk about how I was wrong, why I was wrong, and now how I've seen the light. So I'm going to get started with that right now. As a young man, as a high school person, I grew up as a basketball player. I lived in mostly a white, almost the entire high school was white, except that in the Boston area there was a major inequality as far as the schools were concerned, and so they instituted a program where people would be bused from the black areas of Boston to suburban schools where there was almost entirely white population. And being a basketball player, most in a town that really idolized hockey, I was kind of a unique person in terms of, there were some guys that played basketball, but when I got to high school and you get up to the upper level, when I was a junior or senior, and we're playing, many of the people, I would say more than half of them, in fact, were black. So in the course of going to practice every day, the course of going to games, the course of riding on the bus with them from my high school to a different high school, you start to get to know people a little bit better. And many of my friends would ask me, my white friends would ask me, so what's it like being with the blacks on the basketball team? What are they like? And I would look at them and I would say, you know what? They're just like you and me. I like some of them. I don't like some of them. That's it. All right? They're essentially the same. Now, to come from a different background, I mean, my love of the Temptations grew from those bus rides that we used to take going from our high school to another high school, where a lot of the black kids would sit and they would sing the Temptation songs. And so you learn a little bit culture-wise and so on, and different slang and so on and so forth. And certainly they came from a different background than what I came from. But like I said, deep down inside, people are people. And that's really the bottom line. You're going to like some of them, you're not going to like some of them. You're going to love some, you're not going to love some. I mean, it's as simple as that. And then as I matured, as I went into the working world, I worked with a company, and in this particular company was one of my main mentors, and very, very, very old school, older, significantly older than I, and he became one of my mentors. And I tried to pick up on things that he taught me and so on, and I passed them along. But some of the things that he said were not so good. So I was able to overcome those. I want to give you some examples. I want to speak, like I said, I'm speaking to you from the heart and not from the keister today. So one of the things that we did in that particular organization was develop people to be put into management positions, developing leaders. All right, we would have leadership meetings, so on and so forth. And the way that you would choose the people that were going to be the best prospective leaders was by the people that were producing, the people that were into it, the people that were motivated, the people that got the results. And during my tenure with this company, I produced leaders with other companies, but this particular company, because I've got a line I want to give to you that kind of shows the way it is, and like I said, I was wrong. One of the things that over that time period, people that I developed into management was, let's see, I think there were 3 women and 3 men when I was working with this company, and one of the men was white and 2 of the men were black. So I was somebody that, like I said, I grew up, as a basketball player. I always got along with black people, and they always got along with me because I treated them like I treated everybody else. I mean, there was a respect there. They treated me the same way. So I didn't really see any major issues that we're really focused on right now today. But one of the things that my mentor said to me, that once again, I let it go in one ear out the other, was he said, Eli's dad, I don't care who you choose to mentor, just as long as they have white balls. There's a message for you, right? Now this is this is back in the 1980s when this was said to me, and I was already, way past prejudice and so on and so forth. I grew up in my family. My grandfather was one of the most prejudiced people of all times. A wonderful man, but he had, he was a butcher in South Boston, and he had that prejudice that was just not acceptable. And then my parents, my aunts and uncles, had significantly less prejudice. They would even make jokes about how prejudiced, their dad was, but they still harbored a little bit of a prejudice. And then it came down to me, and once again with my experiences and playing ball with black people and so on, and even driving into, looking for a game. I would go into the Fens in Boston and excuse me, be the only white guy there. I went in, and people looked at you as a ball player, as a person. They didn't look at you as like, oh, here comes, like from the movie White Men Can't Jump. They didn't look at it that way. All right, you went in, you got in the game, you were a player. All right, so the point is that as time went along in my life, prejudice was not something that I felt either coming from me or from people that I would interact with. Now, one of the people that I developed, I was actually working with two black young men at the same time, and one day I heard them in a conversation saying, yeah, I got pulled over. And I said, you got pulled over? What for? He said, DWB. And I said, you mean DWI? He said, no, DWB. I said, what's DWB? And he said, driving while black. Okay? The clues are there. In this being a personal development channel, one of the things that I harp on constantly is nature leaves clues, but you got to pay attention to them. Pay attention, pay attention. There are clues out there, but they're going in, right over your head. Hello, McFly. It went right over my head. And I didn't realize how on a daily basis that there were just challenges every day just because you were black. I realized there were some people, they were the Archie Bunkers out there, but most of the people in my orbit, most of the people that were, virtually all the people that were my friends, they didn't harbor any prejudice at all, and nor did those people back with me. So it was something that was sort of a non-issue. Well, recent developments have made it a major issue. And it's something that, it's a wake-up call for white America. Because in my mind, my mindset tells me that the greater majority of Americans don't harbor prejudice, or at least it's significantly less than it was, but for the most part don't harbor prejudice. But there still are some that are, and this isn't just a law enforcement issue. This is an issue in the greater society, and it's a wake-up call for white America. And just like Drew Brees just apologized, I'm sure when he's in the locker room that there's no prejudice, so on and so forth, back and forth, but he just didn't get it. He didn't get it. I didn't get it. I didn't get the severity. It takes effort to walk in somebody else's shoes. And finally, with spontaneous protests in huge cities and small villages all over this country, and in fact all over the world, I start to learn, hey, you're given 2 ears and 1 mouth. It's time to listen. It's time to listen. It's time to become more of an advocate. One of the things that I'm most proud of with Eli is that he has a number of black friends, and that he harbors no prejudice. And one time said to me, several years ago, he's 15 now. He said this to me, I guess, when he was about 10. He said, Dad, I don't understand why there's prejudice. Everybody's the same. That was one of the proudest moments for me between my son and my son and myself, was when he said that to me, because I made an effort to make sure that message gets across, that we're all the same, that you judge people by who they are as people and not by anything else. So anyway, my point here with you today is pay attention. Pay attention to nature. Nature leaves clues. Pay attention to other people. Listen and absorb and retain. Because I had all sorts of different clues about this scenario, and because in my particular interactions with people of color, which are great, did not appreciate the challenges that they go through on a daily basis on insignificant stuff that would be insignificant to me, but when it happens over and over and over and over again, it becomes a part of your life. And because we will never end a meeting on a philosophical note, please take this message to heart, get out there, and charge! I'm Eli's dad.